It's okay, they're all fine. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. I was going to say January. I can't believe we're that far into 2021, but it's fine. So I had a really good reading month in February. I read 16 books and I think 6 of them were 5 stars and then another like 5 were like 4 stars. So that's amazing. I haven't had that much 5 stars in a month in as long as I can remember. So I'm very excited to talk about these books. So let's get started. This is in no particular order. Again, I'm just going to pick up random ones because as you saw before, I just dropped them all on the floor. So I'm just going to randomly choose them. So first we have Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, and this is one of my 5-star reads of the month. I'm not going to go into too much detail of the plot because, as I said, I have 16 books. That's a lot to talk about, but I will give a general outline, I think. So this is a YA urban fantasy or paranormal potentially, and I absolutely loved this book. Gave it 5 stars. I love the characters, I love the writing. I think this is a debut novel, which is amazing because I thought it was so well done. I totally understand why everyone loves it, and I'm glad that I read it because it was really enjoyable. Next was another 5-star read, and that was The Memory of Babel, and this was a reread. This is my favourite series. It is a polar high fantasy, and I think it kind of gets classed as YA but also adult, so it's kind of like a bridge between the two. This is the 3rd book in the 4-book series. This is my first time rereading it and I gave it 5 stars just like the first time round. Don't really have much to say other than I love it. Next up was Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, and this was another one of my 5-star reads. I actually read it in one sitting. It was like 2 hours I think it took me. This is a kind of contemporary thriller, YA. It's very dark and it was so entertaining. I couldn't put it down. I did not expect to get through it that quickly. I loved it so much. I don't know if I've already mentioned, but I did give it 5 stars. And yeah, it's one of my favourites of the month. It was incredible. The next book I am very proud to say I have read, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book is kind of infamous in the bookish community because, well, it's massive. This is 800 pages and it's high adult fantasy and the writing is really tiny, so it was quite hard to get into. But after the 100-page mark, I was invested and I ended up reading it in 5 days, though I was very committed. I was reading like 3 hours a day, which is quite a lot for me. So yeah, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my new favourite books of all time. I loved it so much. Everything about it, the world building, the characters and the writing were just incredible. And it's one of those books that if it wasn't like personally for you, you can always still see how it is genuinely, objectively a good book because it was just amazing. The next one I think is my last 5-star read, and that is Criers by Nina Varela. This is a YA sapphic fantasy, high fantasy I think, and I love this one so much. I actually have a video talking about how much I love this book. It's amazing. I love the characters so much. I think that's what I loved about the book the most, was the characters and the relationships in it. But I also really enjoyed the world building, and I thought it was a really nice, easy kind of fantasy read. It was very quick and I need to pick up the sequel. I'm on a book buying ban just now, but to be honest I'll probably pick it up this month just because I need to know what happens. Okay, now onto the 4-star reads. I know I said I wasn't going in any order, but they're kind of in order on the floor. The next book was another reread, and that was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This, I actually did not like it as much as the first time round. I think maybe it was just how I felt while I was reading it. I just couldn't be bothered to read. I wasn't in the reading mood, so maybe if I was more energetic I would have liked it better because I found myself skim reading a lot. I think The Infernal Devices is still my favourite Cassandra Clare series, even though I've only read 2. Next is a book that I actually finished last night, and that is My Sister the Serial Killer. Wow. I gave this book 4 stars. mainly because I really, really enjoyed it. However, I just wasn't like obsessed with it, but it was really good. This book is I don't even know, maybe horror thriller kind of, but it's not that scary. I just loved how none of the characters were really that good. Like, they weren't good people, they were doing really weird stuff. And even though you're kind of like hating on one character, you kind of realise that also other characters are also not really people that you should be rooting for either, but you still kind of do. And yeah, it was really short. It looks longer than it is, but it's actually only 220 pages, and the writing is huge as well. So I did read this very quickly, but I'm also glad. I just really liked the pacing and how strange it was. It was really unique. Next is a book that actually took me ages to read. I was actually listening to it on audiobook, and I think I started it at the very start of February and I didn't finish till the end. But I ended up really enjoying it and gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and that is Muse of Nightmares. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer. I think I like both the books fairly equally. I read Strange the Dreamer not on audiobook with my eyes, and I listened to this one on audiobook, and I do think that affected my enjoyment. Usually I can listen to audiobooks fine, however this one I genuinely could not get through it. I put it down for about 2 weeks before picking it back up again. However, by the end I did give it 4 stars. I'm still confused about the ending. That last paragraph really threw me off, so I still don't know what's going on with that. But I do want to pick up more books by this author. And oh yeah, this is a adult high fantasy, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I just realised I forgot a 5-star read. Don't know how that happened, but that was City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. This is the only Mortal Instruments book that I gave over 4 stars. This one is definitely the best in the series. I just thought it had the most plot. I feel like City of Lost Souls, which I'll talk about in a minute, just was not good in comparison. This was the best one. Okay, back to the 4 stars. Next I have Stay Gold by Toby Mcsmith. This is a YA contemporary. I really liked it. Normally with YA contemporaries I'm a bit bored. I only give it like 2 to 3 stars. However, this one really made me feel things. And yeah, I love it when contemporaries do that, because a lot of time I'm just bored, I don't really care. But I actually was really rooting for all the characters in this, and yeah, found it very entertaining, so I gave it 4 out of 5. I think this is the last 4-star read of the month, and this is A Sky Beyond the Storm. This is a YA fantasy that's kind of inspired by the Roman Empire, I think. And this, I don't even know where this falls in like how I like the rest of the series. The first one is still my favourite, I think. However, this one, I don't know what it was about it. I just really enjoyed it, even though I've forgotten half the stuff that happened in it. Also, this cover is so pretty, and I've got the sprayed edges, and I think it's signed actually. Yeah, it says on the front that it's signed. So yeah, I just really enjoyed this book, and I really like the series overall. It isn't one of my absolute favourites, but I'm still glad that I read it. Next is a 3.5-star book because I'm very indecisive and I couldn't decide if it was a 3 or a 4, and that is Gods of Jaden Shadow. This is a YA... No, it's not YA. This is an adult historical fantasy, I think. It's set in Mexico, like Silvia Moreno Garcia's other book, but I think that's the thing. I read Mexican Gothic and loved it, whereas this one is very, very different, and I didn't really expect that, and I feel like that threw off my enjoyment of the book. I still really loved the world building and I loved the writing, and I feel like it was really descriptive and pretty. However, I just thought the plot was a bit repetitive, which I really don't like in books. I don't know what it is, but just when things repeat itself and the characters go back and forward, I just don't like it as much. But I just think the writing was so beautiful, so I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book was The Deep by River Solomon, and I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I think if I read it slower, I would have enjoyed it more, but because it's only 100 odd pages, my brain saw that as, oh, that'll be a really quick one-sitting read, and that's what I did. I read it really quickly because like it's only 100 pages. However, it's one of those books where if you read it quickly you miss tons of things, and I feel like I just didn't appreciate it that much. I feel like I could have appreciated it more if I read it at a slower pace. This is an adult fantasy, I think, and it was really pretty. Yet again, the writing was really beautiful. However, just because I kind of didn't pick up on a lot of things, that definitely affected my enjoyment, so I gave it a 3. Next was City of Lost Souls, and I give this 3 stars. This is one of my least favourites in the series. I just thought it was so unnecessary. They basically did nothing the entire book. I was so bored skim reading it, so I gave it 3 stars. I've not got much to say other than that. The next one I was really disappointed by. It's my only 2-star of the month, my lowest rated book of the month, and that is Our Dark Duet. This book. I don't think this duology is for me. I really love other V. Shaw books, however I don't love some of her other ones. The first one in this series is better in my opinion. I just feel like I like the setup of the world, however when it got into the actual plot I was really bored, and that's also how I felt about this book. Did get a little sad towards the end, but other than that I just didn't really feel much, so I gave it a 2. And the last book I read I didn't rate because I don't know how to, and that is Lana Del Rey's poetry book, Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass. I have never read poetry before because I know that I don't understand it, and that's exactly how I felt while reading this book. I just don't know how to feel. Like, the pictures were pretty. Yeah, I just don't understand poetry. I can't really critically analyse a poem that much, to be honest, so I don't really want to rate it because that would be kind of unfair. So yeah, I'm just glad I read it because I love the cover so much, and it's another book off of my TBR. So yeah, that was the 16 books I read in February. Let me know if you've read any of these books yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!